You know I'm going to rant when I have the hasty setup here. I've got my Fightful setup. I didn't even go over to the other studio, turn on the PC, all that stuff. This was one of the most frustrating Cincinnati Bengals losses I've ever seen. And I have seen a Super Bowl loss, a conference championship loss, some real dick stompings along the way. I was there last week in a game that the Bengals should have won easily. This was supremely frustrating because the Baltimore Ravens are 0-2. Somehow the Steelers are 2-0 in this division. Browns are 1-1. And here we are. This was not a common Bengals W. This is an all too common Bengals L. Leave a thumbs up on this video. Get your questions in, your chats, all that stuff. Thank you for joining me here at Common Bengals W. I came into this game. I came into this game with a renewed sense of optimism because I'm like, you know what? It's the Bengals, and they always play the Chiefs well. They always know how to play the Chiefs, and they played the Chiefs very well today. But the Cincinnati Bengals handed over this game. Now, I don't know exactly how I feel about that last call. Dejon Anthony should not have been in there. Should have absolutely not been in the game at that point. Do I think that should have been called? No, of course not. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. But there's a whole lot of things that led up to this. A whole lot of things. Cincinnati Bengals lose 26-25 on a game-ending field goal. You cannot let that happen. You cannot allow yourself to be in a position at the end of a game with the Kansas City Chiefs to where a flag can will them into the end of the game, because we have seen that. We have watched that unfold in the past. We saw it happen. Regardless of what you think of the call, you do not give Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs 4 shots, much less 5 shots, much less 6, 7, 8 shots at that. And that's what the Cincinnati Bengals did. This was just incredibly frustrating. Bengals go right up the field, put points on the board. You're not going to get a blow-by-blow here. You're not. There's other podcasts for that. I'll tell you about what I liked, what I didn't like. Let's talk about a couple of things I liked. Tight ends. My God. The tight end play that we saw today was very good. Outside of that one drop from Gesicki, who's more of a slot guy, the Cincinnati Bengals have leaned heavily into tight end, and they went under center a lot more. This is something that everybody who watched the Bengals game last week was begging for them to do. Begging for them to do. They got to go under center. They've got to throw to tight ends more. Eric All, 4 for 4. Drew Sample, 3 for 3. Mike Gesicki, 7 for 9. You go 14 of 16 with your tight ends. The Bengals are going to do all right doing that. Eric All is the tight end of the future. Drew Sample did what he was supposed to do. And early on, I was like, man, this is an awful lot for him. But Gesicki also did what he's supposed to do. When Jamar Chase is getting doubled up, he's that guy in the slot. They need to use Jermaine Burton more. I'm so glad they got that one look at him and he pulled it down. Hopefully, whatever they need the trust. They need the trust of Joe Burrow. No, Joe Burrow needs to throw to talented receivers, and Jermaine Burton is one. Apologies, my voice is cracking. I've been a little under the weather over the last week. The numbers do not represent how effective the run game was for the Bengals. Zach Moss has like 2.8 average. Chase Brown, 7.8. Listen, a lot of those were like very short first down yardage things and goal line related stuff that they had to get through there. Joe Burrow with, a couple sneaks that he had to do that took like the time off of there. But the run game did not reflect the 3.4 average that is shown there and the long of 12. Because last year, I don't know if it was a scheme thing or what it was, but last year, Joe Mixon just wasn't getting these big runs. Now, if Joe Mixon ends up breaking off another 100, 150 tonight in this Sunday night game, we got to talk about how the Bengals just did not provide for him. Now, he didn't look particularly fast or anything last week, but he got the job done. And that's what I'm happy to see that out of Joe Mixon. But I thought that Zach Moss did well getting through tackles, getting first downs, doing that type of stuff. Cam Taylor-Britt's interception was unbelievable. The way that the Cincinnati Bengals secondary played Patrick Mahomes outside of Cam Taylor-Britt getting just destroyed by Rashee Rice on that one play, they did an incredible job. They did a wonderful job. Forcing the fumble also, not in the secondary, but man, the Bengals defense did some things that were very, very promising. Trey Hendrickson last week, I had mentioned, was about half a step off from 5 or 6 sacks. He had a couple really, really big ones today. He had 3 QB hits. He had a couple tackles for loss as well. Trey Hendrickson played his ass off and really put the Cincinnati Bengals in a chance to preserve this game at the end of the game in a time where I thought that the Chiefs were just going to run downhill on the Bengals. The reason why I thought the Chiefs are going to run downhill on the Bengals is because we don't have Chris Jenkins. McKinley Jackson is still on IR. BJ Hill got hurt very early in the game, and Sheldon Rankins got hurt. We saw Hubbard move around up front a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's best for him if he's lost a little bit of a step. They need Myles Murphy back really, really quickly. They need Chris Jenkins back ASAP. If not, I don't know what you do there. I don't know what you do. But the defense in general, outside of that ignorant penalty, which again, that literally could have gone either way. I'm not going to bemoan referees for that, even though I saw it coming from a mile away. You knew it was going to happen. Here's what you have to assume when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to assume that if it can be called, it's going to be called. That ball hit Dejon Anthony in the helmet. It was not close to being caught. So just go up and deflect the pass. Man. Akeem Davis-Gaither, great interception right over the middle. He read Patrick Mahomes' eyes. He saw that the receiver going up the right of the field he was wide open and it wasn't going there. So he's like, all right, I'm going to cut back here to my right, pick him off. The Cam Taylor-Britt interception is one of the best interceptions that I have ever seen in my entire life. Over his right shoulder, one-armed. Whew. That was incredible. Pardon me. Things that also very promising. Yoshi Voss managing those 2 touchdowns, especially that first one, was high-level stuff. That gives me a lot of hope for when the Bengals lose T. Higgins. Because if you've got Jamar Chase, who we're about to talk about in a minute, if you've got Andre Yoshivas, if you've got Jermaine Burton, boy, those are 3 really good ones to build off of, and you'll have them for 4 or 5 more years. Okay, that's sounds good to me. I'm pretty confident in that. Plus Eric All, maybe Mike Gesicki. They clearly understand now, as I beat that drum over a year ago, tight ends are important to the Cincinnati Bengals. I could see them paying a tight end more than I could see them paying a third wide receiver or maybe even a second wide receiver after these rookie deals are done. Like if Eric All balls out, I think there's a chance that they end up keeping him throughout all this because he is the high upside athletic player that they need there. They need a guy that can go through there and make the Travis Kelce type of plays. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be Travis Kelce, but that's what they need, especially for Joe Burrow's skill set. Joe Burrow's skill set, obviously, great IQ, incredibly accurate. As we see today, he can still make the deep pass. So everybody's saying he can't make the deep pass. Ridiculous. He can do it. I was seeing plays to Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb today, and I was like, man, it must be nice. It really is great to see that happen. Now, Jamar Chase can make those plays, but Jamar Chase is also very valuable in those short yardage situations where he fights for the additional yardage because he's so fast and strong when he does that, that he really, really sets the Bengals apart. However, you cannot do what Jamar Chase did. Jamar Chase was in one of numerous situations that helped contribute to this Cincinnati Bengals loss. They had a chance to convert, and because Jamar Chase flipped out and believed there was a missed hip drop tackle and is disgruntled and aloof right now and unhappy with his situation, he cost the Bengals that opportunity. They had to settle for 3. Maybe they would have had 3 anyway, but part of that blame goes on to him. Part of that blame goes on to Dejon Anthony. Part of that blame goes on to Evan McPherson. You cannot miss an extra point. Not when you're getting paid what he's making. Part of that blame goes on to Joe Burrow. That 4 very specific instances, 5 I can honestly point to in this game that cost the Cincinnati Bengals that costly 1 point. Joe Burrow had a second down and a clear path, if not to the end zone, to the 2 or 3 yard line. And he threw the ball away. Got to pick up those yards. Later on, he did not hold on to the football. He fumbled it. The Chiefs ran away with it. That very well could have cost the Bengals the game. That is tangible, like putting points on the board level stuff. But you can look at Evan McPherson and say, okay, we'd be looking at a tie right now if Evan McPherson had made that extra point. Fair. Evan McPherson at least cost the Bengals a tie there. But also, Evan McPherson kicked 4 field goals, including 1 for 53 yards. I'm willing to let that one slide. Because if Evan McPherson isn't on this team, I don't know if the Bengals are within a touchdown. You know what I mean? So for me, do I wish he would have made that? Hell yeah. Bengals should be sitting at 2-0 right now. 2-0. And this one, I can't put on Zach Taylor. Listen, Israel, I appreciate you being here. Last week, I put that on Zach Taylor. This week, I put it on the players. Zach Taylor did not make Jamar Chase get that penalty. Zach Taylor did not make the refs throw the flag at the end of that game or make Dejon Anthony go up for that ball like that. Now, I don't think they should have schemed that play to have 3 defensive linemen and give Patrick Mahomes all the time in the world to throw that ball. All the time in the world to throw that ball. Because to me, if you give Patrick Mahomes the opportunity to throw that ball, one of 2 things is going to happen. He's going to complete the pass or he's going to get a flag. One of those 2 things is going to happen. He's going to throw it at somebody, and either they're going to catch it or he's going to hope they get mauled. Now, I don't think that he got mauled, but in the eyes of the referee, obviously. Now, stupid penalties were not exempt from the Bengals. Like, the Bengals almost got bailed out at the end of that game with that hold. Or because Trey Hendrickson was eating them alive, man. Eating them alive. And the Chiefs, you know, they switched out their left tackle as a result of that. There was a missed PI on Cam Taylor-Britt early in the game as well, I thought. So I looked at that and I go, okay, cool, man. But Jamar Chase hypothetically took some points off the board. Maybe the Bengals go down. Maybe the Bengals go down and somehow score a touchdown. Eventually, McPherson made the kick, so I'm not willing to put all that blame on him. Was it a frustrating penalty? Yes. He can't have those penalties. What this game started to remind me of was the Steelers' playoff loss when Marvin Lewis was coaching, where you didn't have control of your players on the field or off the field. You have to do better with that. Joe Burrow's got to make smarter decisions with the football. It hasn't happened as much lately, but Joe Burrow would have a real propensity over the last couple of years to get sacked, right? Like right around the 40, 45, just to put McPherson out of field goal range. But Joe Burrow has got to make smarter decisions. One, first off, I would not have hiked the ball to Joe Burrow on that QB sneak. Hike it to a friggin' halfback or tight it. Give it to Eric All, somebody like that. Not Joe Burrow. Don't risk him getting injured, please. Put Jake Browning in. Have him do it. I do not need to see Joe Burrow doing tush pushes and quarterback sneaks at the line, getting mowed down by 3 tough sons of bitches. Could have ended up looking like Isaiah Pacheco, who, I hope is okay, because that looked filthy. That could have been a lot worse than it looked. Isaiah Pacheco got folded up, man. He had a great game. If I were the Chiefs, I would have just ran the ball all day long on the Bengals, because the Bengals already came in with defensive tackle problems. Like, they can't stop the rush. They have trouble doing that. BJ Hill goes down. Sheldon Rankins goes down. Both the rookies are out. So, I mean, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting teams to just run on the Bengals nonstop. And that's probably what you should do. That's what the Patriots did last week. By the way, looks like they might not be ass. They went to overtime this week. Steelers are 2-0. Somehow they're always good. But there are very clear things about this Cincinnati Bengals team that need to be rectified. Amarius Mims needs to get back soon, first off. Trent Brown doesn't look great. Got to get defensive tackle help. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about how the Bengals are going to stop the run. Because, I mean, they couldn't today. But I know why. The Chiefs have one of the most talented, if not the most talented quarterback in NFL history. They're going to have him throw the ball. He just happened to throw 2, probably should have been 3 picks. It's disappointing. Cincinnati Bengals should have won that game yesterday or last week. They handed this game over. The Bengals should not have been in a position for a flag to cost them the end of that game. Shouldn't have happened. McPherson should have made the extra point. Joe Burrow should not have fumbled that football. So as frustrating as it is, and I'm sure it will be even more frustrating come January, when we don't have that win and we don't have a win that should have happened last week, it's going to get real frustrating come December. They got Washington. Jaden Daniels is going to run all over them, by the way. Carolina Panthers. Bengals should be able to win that game. Carolina Panthers are one of the worst teams I've ever seen. They're real bad. The Baltimore Ravens are in the same spot we are right now. Same spot the Bengals are. So, perhaps that one isn't as terrible as it looks. But the Giants, that should be a win too. The Bengals need to come out of week 6 at least 3-3. At least need to come out of week 6 3-3. Oof, man. This was a heartbreaking game to watch. And it was frustrating because you knew how it would end up. Like, as a person who watches every Bengals game, it just, you could tell what was going to happen there. It's frustrating, man. It's very frustrating. Bengals O-line ended up doing like all right, I felt like today. 3 sacks. Like, listen, we would have died to have Joe Burrow sacked 3 times a game a couple years ago. We'd be like, hell yeah, man. When's the parade, brother? Sure. Ryan Rico, he got that punting job, man. That's his. 2 punts, average of 49 yards. I got to say this. I don't know who on earth that was on the Kansas City Chiefs special teams, that did that punt save in the end zone. My God, that was incredible. That was really good. That's why you have those guys. That's why you do those drills. That was just really, really great. Bengals went 23-36 throwing the ball, 7.2 average. That's pretty good. They had a lot more yards after the reception this week than I expected. I thought it'd be like little dink and dunk stuff, but as far as throwing the ball, Joe Burrow took great care of it. It's just holding on to the ball. We're seeing a lot of bad snaps. We're seeing a lot of bad fumbles. Fumbles have cost the Cincinnati Bengals the game back-to-back weeks. Now, last week, I put a significant amount of blame on the coaching staff for specific reasons. The Bengals are perennially the most underprepared team in the NFL, and the New England Patriots knew it because they said we're going to run them up the hill, talking about the conditioning drills that they do. The Bengals have got to come into the season more prepared. And instead, what they came in with was 2 injured defensive tackle rookies, 2 of your top picks. An injured Amarius Mims, who I would really like to see get some looks because Trent Brown had the worst game of his career last week. You got to get T. Higgins back, man. We need T. Higgins back. Oh, man. It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating to watch. And as I look at this Cincinnati Bengals schedule, I'm like Washington, Carolina, New York, Vegas, Tennessee, Denver. Those are 6 games you have to win. Those are 6 games you have to win. Because I think you probably need 10. I think you probably need 11 wins to get in the playoffs in the AFC right now. It's going to be tough, man. Bengals can't start 0-2 every single year and do this. But that's what they do. Somehow, that's what they keep doing. It's a shame, man. It is a shame. Follow me at Common Bengals W. I want to hear from you guys before we go. What did you all think about today's game? I'm going to go through the chat. Let's go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Eat my ass. Handed them the win. So frustrating. Yeah, I mean, the eye of the beholder. Yeah. Joe Burrow can't even pick up a water bottle. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're going to see a lot of media about that. You're going to see a lot of, oh, does Joe Burrow have the grip? Whoa, what's has he got the noodle arm? What's going on? You're going to see a lot of that. I mean, you already see it's weird because even though the Bengals are very clearly still a talented team, like you saw the NFL Live thing where they pranked the NFL Live team by having them all pick the Bengals instead of the Chiefs, and they were all disgusted. And the Bengals almost won. Plus the Adam Schefter stuff. And like, listen, guys, I understand that my line of work, the reporting is categorically different. And I protect my sources very well. But like, listen, you rarely, if ever, and I would say the last calendar year have seen Adam Schefter reporting much gleefully about the Cincinnati Bengals. Thomas Lippett is angry at Jamar Chase. I certainly was. In that moment. Or are you mad your team lost? It was PI. It could have been called either way. Now they have to face the juggernaut known as the Washington Commanders. I'm seeing an 0-3 start to the season. If it's an 0-3 start to the season, the Bengals will not make the playoffs. CTB and Trey appreciation message. Yeah, besides Cam Taylor-Britt getting burned on that Rashee Rice one, man, yeah, I'm watching that last play, man. I don't see it. Damn. Rooting for people to be injured is despicable. Yeah, I don't like that. Don't be doing that here, guys. Don't be doing that here. Lou Anarumo did seem to have the defense up more cohesive this week. Yes, he did. They did a much better job this week. Is Pacheco hurt? He was sort of working out his leg along the sideline, and I mean, it looked filthy. Like, honestly, like when I saw him get up and I saw him just, stretching out his leg and stuff, and then I saw the replay, I was like, man, he's lucky that it was just that. So fortunately, or hopefully, he's okay. I'm so sick of this team, says Johnny Dingus, buddy. It is so frustrating because you see the talent that they have. You see the talent that they have. 4th and 16, dumb rookie PI. Yeah, it was. It was. Regardless, shouldn't have been in a position to do that. You got to line up more going after Mahomes than what they had as well. Will Sean finally be able to do a common Bengals W? And it's a W. Well, I mean, the last year started off like this as well. If we had T, would we have won? That's tough to say. Tough to say, really, because they went to tight ends an awful lot. Would Yoshi Voss, I mean, listen, either of those plays that Yoshi Voss made, T. Higgins would have made, and that's because Jamar Chase was getting all that attention. I'm not necessarily convinced that would have made the difference. Obviously, it would have helped. Having T. Higgins on the field is much better than not having T. Higgins on the field. Are the Bengals going to be above 500? Yeah, I think at this point, I think they'll finish with 9 or 10 wins. Oh, man. Other scores around the NFL. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Saints whooped the Cowboys' ass. Like, I guess the Saints are just really good. That was unbelievable. Like, my good God. Keeping Alvin Kamara. Boy, was that a great decision or what? Buccaneers defeated the Lions. That one was a nail-biter, man. Jared Goff threw a couple picks, but threw like 300 yards. Lions are going to be a tough out, but the Bucs 2-0 in that AFC South. Like, I mean, 10 wins might do it there. The Jets get their win over the Titans. Titans aren't looking good, man. Listen, I watched Will Levis play here at Kentucky, and I just didn't see it from an NFL quarterback situation. Like, I am eager for him to face the Cincinnati Bengals. I want that. I want him to still be the QB when they face the Bengals. I think Trey Hendrickson will get to him a lot. The last thing that I want is Mason Rudolph playing quarterback for the Titans at that point. I sincerely believe that Mason Rudolph has a better chance of beating the Bengals than Will Levis. The Vikings defeated the Niners. Vikings, man, they are not rolling over. I really respect that. Like, J.J. McCarthy out for the year, and they were the Vikings looked like they might need, a veteran quarterback to come in, and Sam Darnold just getting that thing done, man. Who's their backup? As I look at things, man, I thought the show would be like a 15-minute scream fest. Nick Mullins. Ugh. Yeah. I saw a tweet the other day that said, if I were the Miami Dolphins, I would seriously consider looking into seeing if Patrick Mahomes is available, which is funny. But yeah, I mean, like Sam Darnold, I mean, listen, if he can bridge that gap for you for a little while, let him. But hard for me to believe this will last. It really is. But wins over the 49ers do not come easy. Apparently, wins over the Patriots don't come easy either. They lost in overtime to the Seahawks. Listen, I'm always a sucker for Geno Smith and the comeback story. Happy about that. Chargers whipped the Panthers' ass. Commanders beat the Giants. Giants are horrible, but Malik Neighbors looks really good, man. He looks great. Browns beat the Jags. Oh, man, what is it? Sorry, Tony. Jags ain't looking good. Browns getting that one. In, one of those 18-13 games. Those are the kind of games that the Browns win. And the kind of games that the Browns love to get into. No passing touchdowns from Deshaun Watson. He got sacked a couple times. No picks this time. I don't think he fumbled anything like that. So, relatively speaking, I think he ran for a touchdown. About as good of a performance as you can ask for out of him right now. I saw where the Browns might not be on the hook for his money based on insurance if he gets suspended again. They should absolutely have to count that towards the cap, though. Raiders over the Ravens. Oh man, listen, I like the Bengals' chances against Gardner Minshew and the Raiders because the Raiders barely ran the ball today, and that's like, man, the Ravens were running it right down their throats. Man, they couldn't stop Justice Hill, Lamar Jackson, or Derrick Henry, and still they came back and won it. Man, they in the fourth quarter with 13 points, but I mean, the Raiders just didn't run the ball, and that's the Bengals' deficiency right now. Now, do I have some serious concerns about stopping Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers? Yeah, a little less when it's Gardner Minshew, though. Cardinals defeated the Rams, so I don't like to talk fantasy football on this show, but man, in the Wrestling Media Fantasy Football League, things were looking grim for me, guys. Wasn't looking good. My team has Roma Dunze out. Out. Christian McCaffrey, IR. Jonathan Brooks, PUP. Puka Nakua, IR. Well, when you got Kyler Murray and James Cook and Zay Flowers, it works itself out. So, Steelers over the Broncos. Oh man, how how are the Steelers good every year, man? I'll tell you how. They come prepared and they're well coached. That's how. Every year. I'm not convinced that they will ever have a losing season. They're probably going to beat the Chargers. They're probably going to beat the Colts. They're probably going to, man. This is crazy. There's a real chance that the Steelers win like 7 of their first 8 games. Insane. Well, guys, this was very frustrating. It's good to see that the Bengals don't actually like suck ass. They just complete mental lapses by the looks of it. Very frustrating to see. I feel like I said that a lot, but here we are, guys. Common Bengals W. Bengals are going to have to do something at defensive tackle. They got to do something. Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill. But yeah. And woof. As I'm looking, oh man, go back and watch. Yikes. There was a clear hold on the last play of the game. I'm getting off this show, guys. This is frustrating. We're out.